and chaos, and there is play. What's that?
Could you turn that off, please?
Who is that?
Oh, I think he's here.
Detain him!
No, don't!
What happened to them?
They're dead. I'm sorry. Just stop it. Let me talk to him.
Open fire! Take him out! Take him out! Let me off! Get down!
The prophecy of the Star of Wormwood, Apophis. Course of travel will appear in the sky as it passes closely by and return in 7 years on an impact trajectory that the world leaders will deny over and over. But if this isn't true, then why do they go through so much trouble to hide the true label of asteroid 2019 JB1? Over the 7-year period from 2029 to 2036 will be the 7-year reign of their Antichrist and the persecution of all religion by the atheists.
The rapture will begin just prior to 2029. Following afterwards, the Antichrist will make himself known to the world and begin taking control of the world's leaders. 10 major nations shall fall to the beast and the Antichrist's reign of control over the world. Armageddon shall begin in 2034 in the midst of the anarchy caused by the revelation of Wormwood's impact hidden by the fallen world leaders and will become the catalyst to their fall.
Armageddon will be the last conflict of mankind if the Antichrist is successful in stopping God's efforts towards a new earth and a new Jerusalem, and all of mankind will fall into extinction by the destruction caused by this final conflict.
Armageddon is unavoidable and will happen, but humanity has a chance to survive if their colonization efforts to terraform new worlds is allowed to continue. Some will escape the chaos, some will not. It depends on who has faith in the warnings of God's messengers. For none shall know the time when the day of the Lord is to come except the Lord himself.
2036 is the day of the Lord, the end of the world, and all these events only one would know.
I am the one that the Son of God said he would send to you. My title is the Son of the Morning Star, the Holy Spirit, the vessel of God, the angel of the Lord. But there is sort of a problem, but not one that was not already known. The iniquity they used to cast God down to earth to try and weaponize me through the Ark and other holy relics. My body lingers here unable to die and has been this way since my encounter with Jesus Christ, the risen Spirit of the Son of God, who pulled me from my death as a child and sent me back. I have not been able to rest in peace since.
When I say the one who Jesus sent, this is what I refer to, sent back from death by him. I could describe what I saw, I cannot forget it, but it is irrelevant unless you need to know about it. So then, during my time many years after my encounter with Jesus Christ, I died for the 5th time, having an aneurysm in a solitary confinement cell, alone, with no one caring to check on my comatose body. I should have died there and still do not have a vein in my temple from this. It was then that I died, rose to heaven, experiencing the same thing John the Divine experienced in his vision in the beginning of the Gospel of John.
I rose before the gates of St. Peter, and God himself, who appeared as a warm brilliant light beyond the gates and spoke with a thunderous but soothing voice from all around me, spoke and asked, if I gave you power, you must promise me one thing: do not betray me for it. I thought about all my studies in magic and said,
I already have power, why would I want yours, let alone betray you for it?
He then said,
Come walk with me. Then I was standing on a beach and I saw a great statue-like man walking toward me. He had 1 foot on the land and 1 in the ocean, and rainbows for strapped over his sandals and clouds for shoes. He had a rainbow over his head and he looked like Zeus, but his hair and beard were well kept, and he had a pillar of fire for eyes. He said, I have waited a long time for you. From this day forward you shall be called Lucifer, son of the morning star and bearer of the first dawn, my left hand in creation. Through you shall the Holy Spirit work. Now I shall give to you a gift that no other angel has been given, the gift of free will. Like Adam and Eve, you shall have the ability to choose what you believe is right and wrong. No other angel has this gift. You shall be my mightiest and most powerful angel I will ever, or ever will, create. I shall also reveal to you all that will happen and all you will suffer because of this name. And I was shown all that would transpire in the blink of an eye. Then he said, Are you ready to stand and achieve that which I have made you for? And I said, Why not? It's not like I have anything better to do. Now, fast forward to the fall of Lucifer. In the skies are 2 figures, God and his angel Lucifer, appalled by the flood of Noah's tale. Lucifer felt a great sorrow in his heart, for his maker had become the very threat of danger he and the others were created to protect creation against. With a crackle of lightning from God, Lucifer was struck as the words, Your place shall no longer be found in heaven, for the sin of iniquity is found within your heart. Now freeze frame. The biblical definition for iniquity is human emotion and their ability to choose to sin. If God had given Lucifer the ability of free will at his creation, then why would he be cast out for it? Why would God suddenly become a destroyer to his creation for reasons that were well below the need for such actions? And why was this same incident used later to bring the Son of God, who was God in the flesh, to the earth in mortal form, unless there was a great deception going on here beyond even Lucifer and the other angels' knowledge, using them as a test run for even bigger schemes by an unknown force? That same unseen force that is manipulating these words and mysteries to denounce my true name and title with my own words.
False prophets speak about false images of themselves. I do not. I speak of things I have already done that the general public are not aware of, and claim them as my works when put into positions like this, for I have already laid the path to a new earth and am building a new Jerusalem as we speak. Hammering out the foundations with these truths rather than hidden in lies with justified reasons there either way are still wrong.
This heaven is shrouded in secrecy and hidden truths that have left man defenseless to the adversaries. They only recently began to intervene because I left them.
You outline a serious problem that grazes the validity of caliphates and jihads. The interpretation of God's will, tasks given to the prophets and their teachings, and whether anyone had any right to carry on as a prophet translating the will of God in place of the prophet.
No. Obviously, the prophet was blessed with the eyes and understanding to interpret God's will, no one else, unless God wills it so.
Now you take the Ark of the Covenant. What is it? A vessel of God designed by the 3rd tablet Moses dropped and broke. Through this still holy relic sealed inside the Ark of the Covenant redesigns it to draw God's will into the box where they thought they could wield it like a weapon against their enemies.
Now fast forward, the age of Egyptian astrology brought to them by the Merkaba, messengers from the stars who teach them rudimentary astrology so they know the answer to where they come from. These Merkaba come looking for one who is like them that they heard crashed here and was suspended in a round container. That's in 6500 BC. They take the body of the 4 other crew members who were there from another incident and discovered this older tube of their ancestors, but they could not find him. They took the others home and left a means to communicate with them here with the Egyptian priests. This legend goes Flintstone viral and becomes believed that the spirit of the otherworldly being must be here somewhere. So they design this ritual that they believe would call up the alien being's spirit, and through the alignment of stars and moon and sun, that they could gather a vast universe of cosmic knowledge and incarnate him into a newborn child's body, possessing all the cosmic information and taking it with him into the new life, and that child would be called a Pharaoh and the alien being in him would be called Horus. Fast forward, the same thing is done to a child under the Star of Bethlehem. Same method, just altered for success from their original. Now how many out there don't believe the Immaculate Conception is true, that Jesus isn't real? Now how many of you know people who have had children using the process of in vitro, having never known the touch of a man?
So how difficult is it to believe that someone could not possibly have been real when the aspects of his birth are a common practice today?
What I commonly see is that people disregard the subjects of Jesus and God simply because they are a part of religion in general. The conflicts waged against the Church, by the Church and people's beliefs in general, have caused a desire to not be involved in such matters. It has always been mankind's choice to believe in such things if they choose, or it was supposed to be. However, the world is coming to the end of its time. We have ample proof all around us to show us that this is true. There are more threats both ecologically and astrologically than most realize. The most unavoidable one has to do with our position in our solar orbit around the galaxy. I have checked and rechecked this factor. In about 150 million years this system will be drawn into the galactic core, the point of uninhabitable life where any planetary object will be incapable of sustaining life on them. We will be crossing in about 30,000 years. However, the point when the effects of the galactic core and its processes of atomizing what it devours by breaking down the physical objects into particle dust, we've already passed. There are too many variable factors to pinpoint a definitive time frame until destruction. Factors such as debris from destroyed stellar objects being jettisoned into our path, relativistic jet debris being blasted towards us from the core, other objects being drawn into the center that could collide with us unexpectedly. We could hit a patch of ionized gamma waves that deconstruct objects and feed them into the galactic core. Our sun seems to be entering a shift phase where it could soon shift into a red giant. If it does, then the outer layer of the sun will begin to expand, creating an almost atmosphere-like layer where the surface particles will stretch thin as it expands. Within the atmospheric layer the solar flares will consume and fill this gap as the hydrogen molecules exponentially increase. Then the atmospheric layer will suddenly contract and concave inward, fusing the new hydrogen molecules into the nuclear fusion process, which will increase both its size and mass considerably. Mercury and Venus would be consumed and the Earth most likely will become tidally locked in orbit around the Sun, much like WASP-182b is locked around its Sun at a close orbit. So you see, it does not really matter whether or not the asteroid Apophis hits the Earth. It is simply a marker, a sign, a harbinger that foretells the unavoidable destruction of the Earth. All these things, the four horsemen, the wrath of God from the cup of iniquity, the seals, the trumpets, Armageddon, the Antichrist and even the devil. They all have a purpose and part to play in all this. For eons it has been said that all things cannot find God or his kingdom without faith or belief. That time is running out. There, Earth faces its end and God does not wish to abandon any of his creations. That is why the demons and the devil were set loose. Because man has developed this habit of not only disbelieving in God but actively trying to disprove his existence. Many have been convinced of this, so drastic measures were taken to ensure that the disbelievers would not be left behind, for God has greater plans beyond Earth and he needs all his creations to pitch in, whether they want to or not.
It's not man's place to defy God's plan. Their time was temporary and only meant to be so long.
So you see, Revelations is not about Armageddon specifically or judgment or even God's wrath.
It's about God calling home all his creations on earth and going to extreme lengths to do so. That is the true purpose behind it all.
Or so it has been revealed to me at least. So know this, considering these factors, I will warn you of this. The Antichrist, When he comes he shall come rising from nothing, a nobody that no one would expect. He will rise quickly on a seemingly prepared path of success, making him a zero to hero in the blink of an eye. He will be charismatic and able to sway the masses with words that catch their attention. He will not deny or hide who he is when he takes the stage of power. He will actively set himself against any efforts that God has made on earth, offering his false religion and beliefs, sealing the fate of those to be saved by him with the mark of the beast. He will appear around 2 years before the passing of Apophis in 2029.
I myself already have chosen an Antichrist. He should be in position to begin his preparation towards his destiny, and he's on contract. Jeremy, wherever you are out there, it is time to begin fulfilling your end of the deal. You were given a second chance at a family. I provided the means to which that would gain your ex-wife's respect and open a path to be with your family again. Your choice and what you did after that was your own. The you live or dead does not concern me. You have a destiny to fulfill, and this outlines the basic reason behind it. God has unleashed the dragon upon a world of disbelief, and the time draws near for this world to end. This role I play now is why I asked for the proof I did, to be sure this was truly God's will and not some imitation of God, continuing some religious conflict involving paper made from the bark of their tree of life, upon which they believe what is written on it will become true and happen.
Let me just add this one thing: these things God allows to happen only because the threat of so many lives are at stake. The time to sidestep the argument is done, brother. Step aside, for this foundation to the final conflict has a purpose that aligns to heaven and the archangel's duties and the divine law. It is time for belief and faith to gain entrance to stand before God, to come to an end. The prophecies are unfolding and the signs are all there. The angels have sounded their trumpets and the last warning has been given. Now we must prepare for the end, and the places where man goes when life is done should be made ready. For after the earth ends shall come the great judgment. Okay, this ends: in the beginning of the earth's creation I was God's vessel through which all life was made, so through me can he gain control of this religious conflict over the tree and the paper made from it. So come, my Lord, let us become one again and end this silly conflict of greed and deny their attempts to warp the earth. Into the deep ocean we went, to the place where the garden once stood. Together, the spark and flame that began all things reached through the roots of the withered tree to find these hybrid versions of the tree of life, being forced to grow into what they wanted through sorcery, molding the jump tree into what they wanted. We shriveled the roots of them and withdrew this poltergeist being they created to impersonate God's presence, negating their control, and then I planted the seed that destroyed the first garden, the marijuana plant. The jump tree shriveled through its roots and all the connected trees turned to thorn bushes, the seeds turned to thistles, and the scriptural paper shriveled and dried, turning to dust and crumbled in their hands. And the page that was shoved down my throat as a kid shriveled and turned to dust as well, thus ending my ability to write and have it come true. This will have weakened them and left them vulnerable. The Illuminati, I'm not sure if it's the European Union or the United Nations though. They are both branches of the Illuminati order. The European Union was founded by those seeking to maintain the old order's ways. The United Nations branch still present within the UN did not want to take this path, and so their order split, creating the two opposing orders. That's all.
this is the end you planned for us.
That is good, or so you think, but you're so very wrong. It's evil, but being wrong is right, so then you're good again, which is the evilest thing of all. Do you find his subtle ways invite you? Does he excite you? If his contradictions should attract you, should he distract you? Heaven help you then, you're finished, it's the end. There'll be no retrieval.